So good day everyone, I'm here again so as to give you information about lexical expressive means and stylistic devices. As you can remember, I just gave you some information about stylistics as a branch of linguistics and phonetic stylistic devices and expressive means. Today, we'll talk about lexical expressive means and stylistic devices. So, I'm going to give the definition of lexical expressive means and interaction of dictionary and contextual logical meanings, and interaction of primary and derivative logical meanings, and interaction of logical and emotive meanings. So in short, I will give you some information or more information about lexical stylistic device and expressive means, such as metonymy, metaphor, irony, pun, zeugma, oxymoron, hyperbole, like this. So words in a context may acquire additional lexical meanings, not fixed in dictionaries, what we call contextual meanings. So here, let me just be clear. So in context, in text, just the words can acquire additional lexical meanings. So not fixed in dictionaries, like for example, table. Yes, a table in the meaning in dictionaries is a round and wooden item that we can eat or that we can write on it. But here, table has got even its contextual meaning as well. So the latter may sometimes deviate from the dictionary meaning to such a degree that the new meaning even becomes the opposite of the primary meaning. So it is the interrelation between two types of lexical meaning. They are dictionary and contextual. As I have mentioned, table, a wooden and a round item that we can eat or write on it. This is a dictionary meaning. Or contextual meaning is, for example, can you feel the information in the first table or the second table? Table here, it's a it's a type of form that we can fulfill in it. So this is the contextual meaning. So the transferred meaning of a word may be fixed in dictionaries as a result of long and frequent use of the word other than in its primary meaning. And in this case, we register a derivative meaning of the word. When we perceive two meanings of the word simultaneously, we deal with a stylistic device in which the two meanings interact. So, and it's very useful for us to get acquainted or to be aware of contextual and dictionary meanings of the words, because it will be very easy for us to understand the speaker's aim or their speech. And now we'll speak about classification of lexical stylistic devices. So stylistic devices are usually classified into stylistic devices based on the interaction of different types of lexical meaning, for example, dictionary and contextual. In dictionary and contextual meanings includes metaphor, metonymy, and irony. Or primary and derivative ones include zeugma and pun. And what about logical and emotive? Logical and emotive group includes apposite and oxymoron. And the next one is logical and nominative. It includes antonomasia. So stylistic devices based on the intensification of a feature, simile, hyperbole, and paraphrases. Stylistic devices based on the peculiar use of set expressions, cliché, proverbs, epigrams, quotations, etc. And interaction of different types of lexical meaning And this is the first one is interaction of dictionary and contextual logical meaning, and the relation between dictionary and contextual meanings may be maintained along different lines on the principle of affinity, on that of proximity or symbol referent relations, or on opposition. Thus, the stylistic device based on the first principle is metaphor, and on the second, metonymy, and on the third, irony. So let me give you information about the metaphor, the definition about the metaphor. Yes, as you know, metaphor in Uzbek language, it is a relation between the dictionary and contextual logical meanings based on the affinity or similarity of certain properties or features of the two corresponding concepts. And the metaphor can be embodied in all the meaningful parts of speech, in nouns, adjectives, verbs, adverbs, and sometimes even in the auxiliary parts of speech, as in prepositions. Metaphor as an stylistic devices can be classified according to their degree of unexpectedness. And that is why metaphors which are absolutely unexpected, are quite unpredictable, are called genuine metaphors. For example, through the open window, the dust danced and was golden. So here, through the open window, the dust danced and was golden here. Those which are commonly used in speech and are sometimes fixed in the dictionaries are expressive means of language, are trite metaphors, or we can just call them that metaphors. For example, a flight of fancy. So, can you imagine a flight of fancy? Or floods of tears. So, as you just mentioned here, floods of tears or a flight of fancy, it's somehow exaggeration. Yes, and exaggerated nouns or adjectives, adverbs, like these metaphors are called that or trite metaphors. And trite metaphors are sometimes injected with new vigor. Their primary meaning is re-established alongside the new derivative meaning. And this is done by supplying the central image created by the metaphor with additional words bearing some reference to the main word. Let me give you an example. To exemplify, Mr. Pickwick bottled up his vengeance and corked it down. So here, the verb to bottle up is explained as to keep in check, to conceal, to restrain, repress. So the metaphor can be hardly felt, but there is a but. But it is revived by the direct meaning of the verb to cork down. So, such metaphors are called sustained or prolonged metaphors. And stylistic function of a metaphor is to make the description concrete, to express the individual attitude. So, this is all about metaphors. And about metonymy, I can say that yes, as it's very similar, the definition of metonymy in Uzbek and in English language. Metonymy is based on a relation between the dictionary and contextual meanings, a relation based on not on affinity, but on some kind of association connecting the two concepts which these meanings represent on a proximity. The proximity may be revealed between the symbol and the thing it denotes. To exemplify, the leaves dropped off his imaginary crown of laurel, he turned to the gold and cried bitterly. In the relations between the instrument and the action performed with this instrument. Or another example, his pen is rather sharp. So, pen. Can pen be sharp? So this is a metonymy here, and in the relation between the container and the thing it contains. Or another example is, he drank one more cup. One more cup, not one more cup of tea or cup of coffee, but one more cup. The concrete is put for the abstract. And the next example, it was a representative gathering. So science, politics, it's a part is put for the whole. Or the crown, yes? The crown can mean king. A hand can mean worker. So metonymy represents the events of reality in its subjective attitude. Metonymy in many cases is tried. For example, to earn one's bread, or to keep one's mouth shut. So these are the examples, and this is the definition and the information about metonymy which I was going to give you. And now let me give you information about irony. Irony, as I have mentioned above, it is one of the stylistic devices, lexical stylistic devices, and it is also based on the simultaneous realization of the two logical meanings, dictionary and contextual, but the two meanings are in opposition to each other. The literal meaning is the opposite of the intended meaning. One thing is said and the other opposite is implied. Can you understand me or not? Let me give you an example in order to be clear and understandable for you. For example, nice weather, isn't it? On a rainy, stormy day. So now, is it clear for you? Yes, on a rainy, stormy and cold day, I can say, or someone can say that, oh, nice weather, isn't it? So, it's nice weather. So actually it is not nice weather maybe. But for someone it is. And interactions of primary and derivative logical meanings. So now I will give you some more information about, not more information, but more examples for irony. For example, someone just told something wrong, and some of you said, oh, how clever you are. Here, actually, he or she is not clever at all, but maybe he or she is wrong, but you just say, oh, how clever you are. Here, you used irony. So this is an example for irony, another example, in order to be clear and short and understandable for you. So, there are special stylistic devices which make a word materialize distinct dictionary meanings. They are zeugma and the pun. So, have you heard of these terms or words? What is zeugma and what is pun? But I am sure that you use these terms, I mean not just these words, but zeugma and puns in everyday life, because lexical stylistic devices, we use them in our everyday life, in our authentic life. Why or in what way? In order to be clear, in order to be short, and in order to be real, like this. And zeugma. Zeugma is the use of a word in the same grammatical but different semantic relations to two adjacent words in the context, the semantic relations being on the one hand literal and on the other transferred. Example? Yes. Dora plunging at once into privileged intimacy and into the middle of the room. So zeugma is a strong and effective device to maintain the purity of the primary meaning when two meanings clash. It imposes some humorous effect. And the pun. So the information about the pun. Pun is another stylistic device based on the interaction of two well-known meanings of a word or a phrase. So it is difficult to draw a hard and fast distinction between zeugma and pun. The only reliable distinguishing feature is a structural one. Zeugma is a realization of two meanings with the help of a verb, which is made to refer to different subjects or objects, direct or indirect. And pun is more independent. Like any stylistic devices, it must depend on a context, but the context may be of a more expanded character, sometimes even as large as a whole work of emotive prose. For example, did you miss my lecture? Not at all. Here, pun seems to be more varied and resembles zeugma in its humorous effects only. So now, about the type of stylistic device, type of interaction of logical and emotive meaning. Interjections and exclamatory words. Interjections are words we use when we express our feelings strongly and which may be said to exist in language as conventional symbols of human emotions. In traditional grammars, the interjection is regarded as a part of speech. So, example, oh, where are you going to, all you big swimmers? So the interjection, oh, by itself may express various feelings such as regret, despair, disappointment, sorrow, surprise, and many others. Interjections can be divided into primary and derivative as well, and primary interjections are generally devoid of any logical meaning. Interjections such as heavens, good gracious, God knows, bless me, are exclamatory words generally used as interjections. It must be noted that some adjectives and adverbs can also take on the function of interjections such as terrible, awfully, great, wonderful, splendid. These adjectives acquire strong emotional coloring, are equal in force to interjections as well. The term for the opposite. The opposite is based on the interplay of emotive and logical meaning in an attributive word, phrase, or even sentence, used to characterize an object and pointing out to the reader some of the properties or features of the object with the aim of giving an individual perception and evaluation of these features or properties. An epithet is descriptive or nickname term that is added to the name of someone, which becomes a part of common usage. In Greek, the word is being added and are a good rhetorical device when it describes the characters for the readers. Even though modern usage of epithets is taken to be derogatory and literary epithets are a crucial aspect of literature. Now, let's take a look at the best epithet examples in literature. So, fixed epithet. In long literary pieces, the author might repeat the apposite, which shows the character and various scenes. A common use of fixed apposite is sobriquet or nickname. Homer in the Odyssey refers to Odysseus as son of Laertes several times and Zeus as kings of kings. Derogatory apposite, disparaging or negative apposite, takes on different forms from homophobic, racial, and ethnic slurs to teasing nicknames. Unlike all euphemisms, derogatory terms are for insulting a group or an opponent without directly mentioning their targeted characteristics. Another kind of apposite is kenning, which is a two-word or compound metaphorical expression replacing a noun. You will generally find it in Old Norse or Old English work as well. For example, in Beowulf, you know, in literature, what is Beowulf? And in this, we can say novel, yes, or literary work, you'll find many examples of kenning apposites, including sail road or wound sea. Archetypical apposites in literature, there are some apposites which are perfect qualifiers and become archetypes of their own, irrespective of having their own source materials. These descriptions can be found in various works of literature. And in some cases, you will also find them in political movements. Apposites are of different types, and you will find them in many essays. If you take a look at the essays in top essay writing, you will find many apposites. These are professional writers who know how to use apposites in their essays. For example, star-crossed lovers. So, in the world of literature, Romeo and Juliet are taken to be star-crossed lovers. The apposite means that they are a couple who are meant to fail, or their future is ill-fated. He who must not be named. At times, an apposite might be silent. For instance, Rumpelstiltskin, the nameless gold spinner. The pressure here is to refrain from taking the name of the antagonist, as characters depend on some non-traditional apposites. A good example of this is the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling, where Voldemort, the dreaded villain of the withered world, is called he who must not be named. So this is all about apposites. So the information about lexical stylistic devices, I hope it is understandable for you. So if you have any questions or if you have any comments, you can write to the comments. And now let me just finish my lesson about stylistic devices and expressive means. It's all about today's topic. Thank you for your attention. See you next time. Goodbye.